thank you all for joining us today. I'm really excited because we did get 50. Look at that. This is the biggest group I've had doing these since we switched online, so that's really exciting for me. I miss getting to see all the upcoming freshmen in person. That was always really fun doing this, so I'm glad I have a lot of people here to listen to me ramble on tonight. So I talk a lot. I'm sorry about that in advance. But I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Davey Kelly. I am a senior in mining and minerals engineering here at Virginia Tech. And I'll get into what that is more in a little bit because we're a lesser known major. But I am from a small town about an hour west of Blacksburg called Bluefield.
And my name is Shelby Plattner, and I'm a sophomore in materials science and engineering. I have minors in green engineering and economics, and I'm from Frederick, Maryland.
All right, so we'd like to start off going over what skills it takes to be an engineer. These are just the big things we like to highlight here at Virginia Tech, and we like to work on them with you all and make sure you have them by the time you're gone. If you're thinking you don't have any of these now, it's not a huge deal. This is just what we like. It's if you have these already, great. If you don't, we will work with you and try to get them to you by the end of your time here. First, creativity. Engineering is about solving problems, and to solve problems, we're not going to keep doing things the way we've always done them. We want to find new ways to do things. So, like, you just have to find thinking outside of the box, as they say, just a new way to do things that maybe no one's thought of before, just to make things better. Teamwork. Some engineers are kind of apprehensive when they hear this, but unfortunately, you're not. When you're in industry, you're probably never going to get a job where they're just like, "Hey, here's a project. You work on this by yourself." You're going to be in a team. You're all going to have strengths and weaknesses, and you're going to have to work together to make the best solution. Study habits is another one. I know a lot of students, myself included, I kind of coasted through high school. I never really tried all that hard. But when you get to college, it is a good bit more difficult. If you don't have study habits already, you're going to have to work that out in your freshman year sometime. If you already have study habits, great, you're going to be using them. But if you don't, be careful freshman year and try to get these worked out. And then interest in math and science, that's kind of self-explanatory. As engineers, that's most of what we do. You don't have to like all the sciences or all the maths. We pick engineering disciplines. You can pick a discipline that lines up with the sciences and maths you like. Like I'm in mining engineering, so I do a lot of geology. I like geology. If you want to do something with biology, you can do biochem or biomed. It's just your choice. You can kind of orient yourself. And the last, challenging high school background. That also just the same as the study habits. It'll get you ready for the classes you have here so that you can be prepared to do well at Virginia Tech.
These are some statistics for my freshman engineering class. Keep in mind these are averages, so there will be some above and some below. We do take the ACT as well. That's just not mentioned on here. Our female percentage is high and it is increasing. And US stands for underrepresented minority and underserved. There are a couple questions in the chat. One was, is the DIY campus tour worth it? I would definitely recommend coming to campus, whether you do the tour or not. I haven't really looked into that, but I would really recommend walking around. It's gorgeous in spring, or if you want to come in the summer, but I'm sure the DIY tour is helpful in figuring out where different things are. And I'll look into the computer science question and answer that in a sec.
I believe the plan is that all the classes that would normally be in person are supposed to be in person next fall. So, and the only online computer science classes will be classes that were already planned to be that way. So, I think most of them would be in person though. So here are some QR codes just to get you some more information. Feel free to scan any of these for us to get more information on them. But general engineering, so when you come to Virginia Tech, you don't pick your major until the end of your freshman year. Every freshman engineer at Virginia Tech is just in general engineering. And there's a couple reasons we do this. One is because the curriculum for all the engineering majors would be the same freshman year anyway. So we just choose to keep you together because there are added benefits of you'll get to know more people. You will have a better idea of what major you want to do because you might come in thinking you want to do aerospace and then after you learn a little more about chemistry, you might decide you want to switch into chemical instead. And you wouldn't be behind at all. You would just get educated more. So first QR code will show you common entry points in classes. So that's just common classes freshman year. That'll show you your calculuses, your foundations of engineering, your English, and your physics and chemistry. ABIB, CLEP dual enrollment. That's our transfer credits. So scan that and it'll give you a list and tell you like what on an AP exam is equal to how many credits here. or what any individual dual enrollment class will get you. If you're in a class and you don't see it on there, don't worry. It doesn't mean we don't take it. It just means no one's asked before. So get in contact with the Office of Admissions and they will work out how that works for you. The third one is Pathways for General Education. That is like our, it's just gen eds. So you're not just going to take math and science. You got to take that English class. You got to take those history classes, um, some arts classes, just all over the place, just to make sure you're well rounded. And then the fourth one is at the end of your freshman year, you get to pick what type of engineer you want to be. We have a 3.0 guarantees your first choice. So the way this works is, I'll use the example of mechanical engineering. They like to take about 400 students. If they have 350 with a 3.0, they will give those, all those students get in. And then the next 50 students, descending order of GPA, will get into mechanical. And then at that point, they'll cut off and they'll send you into your, and they'll try to fill the other majors by taking your second or third choice, depending on what you pick. But if, like, say 500 students have over a 3.0, they will hire more staff to accommodate you all. So that's some information on general engineering. We'll get a little bit more here in a second.
There was a question if you apply to VT as general engineering or for one of the specific engineering majors. If I remember correctly, you apply general, but you can put what you think you want to do, but that isn't binding at all or doesn't affect whether you get in or not. You apply general, but that just gives them a concept of who maybe wants to do what.
Yeah, I would recommend if you're really interested in something, go find that department and talk to some professors, and you can get involved with the department your freshman year definitely, and they might have some classes you can take early. They just like to have all the freshman engineers in one major together.
So your first year as a freshman, you will take Foundations of Engineering, which is a year-long course. It's broken up into 2 semesters. The first semester, you'll learn some programming, you'll do MATLAB, work in teams and get used to working in group projects because that's super important for engineering and for real world applications. Second semester, you'll take that knowledge and apply it to a semester long project. There's different ones. There's drone, there's wind turbine, RC car. My project was the drone project. So we built this prototype and we got through the prototype phase, but then got sent home during COVID, which is very sad. But usually you like build a prototype, then you keep working with it. You use MATLAB to make some simulations. You use SolidWorks, which is a CAD software, to make a 3D model of it. And then you're able to test it in the drone cage, which there's a picture of later. But super awesome project to get to work in a team and work for a real world problem to solve. Also in this class, you will learn, you'll be exposed to different types of engineering and what it looks like to be an engineer. And you'll have to go to some info sessions for different majors to help you figure out which major you want to pursue after your freshman year.
So here's a breakdown of the engineering class in 2019. So this is just all of the, this is a breakdown of how many people we have in each major in the College of Engineering at that time. You can see the biggest because all the freshmen are in that major, so it's 1/4 of the body for all the engineers. Then you can see mechanical is the next biggest with, let's see, I lost mechanical somehow. It's the biggest one. Where is it? I lost it. With my eyes. Okay, one thing was second to the bottom. 1,000, a little over 1,000 people. You can see there's varying sizes, so it really depends on what you like. Just take one of these classes and divide it by 3 to figure out about what your class size is going to be. Like I said before, I'm in mining, and if you want like a little bit of a smaller school feel while you're at Virginia Tech, which is this big old school, consider one of the smaller ones because you will know everyone in your classes really well. But then you will have the option of meeting thousands upon thousands of people in Blacksburg, so you kind of get the best of both worlds with that. So now we're going to go over some of the opportunities you'll have at Virginia Tech.
So here are the engineering minors we have. Computer science and green engineering are the most popular. There's definitely lots of opportunity to take classes that are required for your major to count for these minors or for technical electives. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a green engineering minor and I actually have to take 0 extra classes for my MSc degree because those green engineering classes count as technical electives or pathways or already required MSc curriculum core classes. So these minors are great things to look into. Also, you're not limited to these minors. You can do any minor at Virginia Tech. I'm an econ minor as well, so there's opportunity to use those pathways credits or just take other classes that really interest you to work towards that minor. I know people do languages or music, chemistry, math. There's lots of different options with that. Undergraduate research, most professors do research and are excited for you to get involved. So you can definitely reach out to professors to see if you can get on their projects. If you're interested and passionate, I'm sure they will see that and would love to get you involved. If you want to do that your freshman year, go for it. Reach out to people. Undergraduate research is a fantastic opportunity to get real world experience while you're at school. Many departments will also send emails with research opportunities out to their students. For study abroad, each department has study abroad opportunities. A big one is RSAP, which is the Rising Sophomore Abroad program. And it happens in the 2 weeks after the spring of your freshman year. There's multiple tracks. There's some in China and Japan and Spain and Australia and Chile, and there's so many different ones you can do. You'll learn about different engineering practices in other countries and tour their facilities, which is super cool. And as part of this program, you'll take a seminar and a class in the spring of your freshman year, so you'll get to know your peers before traveling together. Each department also has a professional society. Some have more than one. I've been involved in the Materials Engineering Professional Society since my freshman year, and I would definitely recommend that as a freshman looking into the societies for what your major is so you can get to know some upperclassmen and get more involved with the major before you're even in it. It's a great way to get involved, make friends, gain leadership experience, and I just really think meeting upperclassmen in your major is super helpful, especially when you're trying to decide which major you want to do. It's a great way to figure out if it's really what you want to do. We also have other engineering organizations. There's professional sororities and fraternities for engineering, and there's also volunteering clubs as well. There's a question, what's on the left? Do you know what's on the left in that picture, Davey?
I think it's a Wear Lab project. It looks like a robot. It has arms and a little camera and stuff. I'm not sure exactly what this project is, but it looks very robot-y.
There's a question I'm going to answer real quick. Is having both a major and a minor more challenging than just having a major? It depends. If you pick up a minor, you're really interested in it. So maybe those classes seem a little easier or a little out of the ordinary versus your regular curriculum, which I'm sure you're interested in as well. For me, econ, I really enjoy because it's different than engineering. And it fit into my course load. So it just kind of depends. If you need to take 19 credits to take a minor and a major, that might be a little more difficult than having 16 for a semester, but it just depends on what you want to do, what your goals are, and how you want to get there.
So internships and co-op experiences. I'll start off by going over what an internship and a co-op is. An internship is you get with a company and they'll hire you on for the 3 months of summer. And you work for them like you're a normal employee, and you just kind of learn your way around their operation. A co-op is just like an internship, but it happens instead of a semester. So you just take a semester off of school and work. Usually you'll pair that up with an internship too. So instead of 3 months, you'll get 6 because you'll go summer and then fall, or you'll go spring into summer. But co-ops are really good because a lot of the time in all my internships, I felt like by the time I was finally starting to know what was happening and like getting ready to being able to do my job really well, that was when it was time to get home. But co-oping is very encouraged here. A lot of people are worried about taking a semester off school, and if they'll hold everything for you, they'll hold all your aid, they'll hold your position. You have to take like a 1-credit class to make sure you're still like, I don't know, to make sure you plan to come back. I guess I just want to keep an eye on you. But co-oping, I definitely recommend it. And then here are some companies that our dean's team has interned or co-opted for. And on the map, we've highlighted the states where they are. This is just our dean's team. If this was the entire College of Engineering, the map would be covered and there would be a bajillion companies here and you wouldn't be able to read any of them. But yeah, I definitely recognize getting an internship and co-op while you're here, and it's very easy to do so, which I think is on the next slide. Yep.
So we have a couple of different career fairs at Tech. The main one is Engineering Expo, which is in the fall. It's the largest student-run career fair in the country. There's about 300 companies that come, and it's spread out over 3 days. One thing we always say is Hokies hire Hokies. You see that middle picture, the woman in the maroon and orange is actually the recruiter. So lots of companies have their Hokie alum come back to Tech to hire more Hokies because they know how great of a program we have and they love hiring Hokies, so they want to hire more. It also makes it less intimidating because the people who are interviewing you and talking to you and recruiting you have been in your shoes, so that definitely adds some comfort. There's also other career fairs. Cameo is in the spring. It's similar to Expo, but it's smaller. It's more like 100 companies, but career fairs are a great opportunity to get those internships and co-ops. Also, you're coming in freshman year. Maybe you don't necessarily want an internship after your freshman year, but it's a great opportunity to talk to recruiters and just get that experience before it's too late and you're junior and you need an internship. So these career fairs are awesome opportunities to get those out of class experiences that are so important to add to your degree and help you prepare for the real world.
So we had a question: are there any disadvantages to doing a co-op? I would say the only disadvantage is if you have friends, you won't be graduating with them anymore. You'll move a year back. So like you'll have to redo the semester you missed. That's the only real thing I can think of. Other than that, it's all good. I have never heard of an unpaid internship or co-op, so you're making money while you're there as opposed to paying money while you're at Virginia Tech, so that's nice. So yeah, honestly, I wish I did a co-op. I never did because I didn't think I wanted to fall back, but I would have so much more work experience. And the next question is the difference between an internship and a co-op. An internship's in the summer, and a co-op you will take a semester off of school and do instead. That's the only real difference between the two. Oh yeah, Galileo and Hypatia are our living learning communities here at Virginia Tech. They are in Hoge Hall. These are a really good opportunity for you your freshman year because basically what it is everyone in Hoge Hall is an engineer. So there's a lot of really good opportunities here. They'll pair you up with a mentor who will help you out, like help you get those study habits. You're in a mentor group, so you kind of already have friends when you get here because you're assigned together. And they can just answer any questions about being a freshman. They can show you good places to eat in Blacksburg. Um, it just comes with a class that's all professional development, which is really helpful. If you don't already have a resume, they'll have you write one and teach you how. They'll teach you how to write thank you letters to companies. Um, and also there is a build space lab in the second floor here. So if you like building things, you have that lab there, so you can build things, work on personal projects, and also those projects in Foundations of Engineering that Shelby was talking about. You could do those here as well, which is super helpful because if you're like me, you may or may not have waited until the last week before it was due to work on it. And the lab where everyone else has to go is on the other side of campus. And like there's a million engineers in there trying to finish their project, and there's not enough space for everyone. So like it would have been terrible if I had to do it in there with them, but I got to do it in our own lab in Hoge. But the final reason I'd say it's really good is, like I said, everyone there's an engineer. So like if there's a calculus test tomorrow, you don't need to be worried about like a business major being awake the next day, being loud and like having a party or something and keeping you up. And also, you have someone to study with. Your roommate, knock on a door somewhere. Everyone has the same classes. Everyone has the same homework. So it's really easy to find help.
There was a question about how hard is it to get into Galileo and Hypatia. I would say not hard at all as long as you apply before it gets full.
Application so it is
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's rolling admission. So like it's not very difficult at all, but you have to make, especially because when I did it, the dorm we shared it with True Vinci, which is our science living learning community. Now it's all engineers, so they have even more space. But it's really just like it's rolling admissions. You could be an outstanding candidate, but if you apply too late, they might just be out spots. But it's just applying early is really the only thing about it.
So if you like the mentoring aspect of Galipatia, but you don't necessarily want to live in Hogue in the living learning community, which I would recommend living there. I lived there and I really enjoyed it. But there's also the peer mentoring program that we have. I'm actually a peer mentor. I was one last semester and I'm one next semester as well. So the same setup with kind of 8 to 10 freshmen to one mentor, and it'll help you acclimate to tech socially and academically, as well as help you build your resume, prepare you to go to Expo and lots of different professional development events. It's a completely free program. You just have to sign up for it. I would really recommend getting some sort of mentoring experience, if nothing else, to connect you to other resources, to other people. I love being a mentor. I think most mentors love being mentors. So I would definitely recommend taking up that opportunity. STEP is the Student Transition to Engineering program. It's a summer program where you take the first 5 weeks of chemistry, calculus, and fundamentals of engineering courses, and it helps ease your transition from high school to college. So you kind of get to take the first few weeks of classes, see what works, see what doesn't work. And if it doesn't work and you don't do well, that's okay. You know what you need to work on for when the semester actually starts and your grades actually matter. You live in Blacksburg, so you know what that's like, and it just really helps your transition to college.
So our hands-on, minds-on section. So the Ware Lab is like this lab we have in Blacksburg, and basically a bunch of design teams working there. They're all student-run and operated. Most of them are competitive, but it's just a lot of practical experience towards your major. And you can see some pictures here, and on the left there's a list of things. I'll go over some of the pictures. The one in the middle is I can't remember what it's called, but basically, no, the hybrid electric vehicle team. I see it right there. They send us a sport. Some like car company will send us a sports car, a really nice sports car, and we will basically tear the engine out, and the team will make it entirely electric and make it so it's still like a muscle car and it still performs like it did, but while being electric, and they compete with that. And then you can see on the top right there that is a human-powered submarine. So some very brave person gets in the water in this little submarine that pedals, and I don't know, it scares me, but good for them. I guess I mean if I worked on it, I'd probably believe it worked, but just looking at the picture, I'm not about it. Um, and then another one that I wanted to get involved in that's really cool is Baja, which is basically they build a big dune buggy that rides around a mud course, and it's just like it's just riding in circles all day, and it's this course that's just designed to destroy this car, and they like perform repairs there, and it's like a 4 hour race. They trade out drivers while they do it, and they're just like stop. The pit crew actually fixes, like repairs the car, changes out wheels and stuff. It's really cool.
So here are engineering rankings. I'm sure you can look up different ones online if you're looking into different departments. But yes, according to US News and World Report, we're 13th for undergrad program and 31st for graduate program. And according to ASB, we're 7th for producer of engineers and 8th for producer of women engineers.
One other number we have that's really, really good is we're number one in food consistently. We sometimes fluctuate to second depending on what poll you look at, but you come here and you'll see we're really number one. The food is here is ridiculous. So outcomes in let's see what there's something in 2019. So freshmen who continue to a second year engineering 90% in the last 5 years. That's very impressive. Most engineering schools are, and they will say themselves they are this. A lot of engineering programs are weed out programs that will pride themselves on not having retention because they think it makes their degree worth more to make it exceedingly difficult to get through. Virginia Tech does not do that. I'm not going to say it's easy, but the professors want you to succeed and they will work with you to make sure you move on if you want. If you do Hypatia or Galileo, this number jumps to like 99%. So that's a very good thing. They really want to help you here. Additionally, after graduation, 74% are employed, 13% plan to attend graduate school or have accepted admission to a graduate school. If you're doing the math real quick, you'll notice this is like 87%, which isn't like super high, but that a lot. So the thing is, I'm a senior now and I can confirm this. They send us a survey asking like what our plans are. And I don't think I've filled out that survey. I don't think I've seen it. I have a job. I just care about my job and making sure I get my degree so I can go work. I'm not paying all that much attention to the surveys they're sending me at this point. But the all the people who didn't fill out the survey were assumed to have nothing here. So a lot of that extra 13% that's missing is probably from situations like that. And then finally, our median starting salary was 70,000, which is super competitive. It's a super good salary nationally, so that's also good.
So some of the scholarships we have for freshmen are the Davenport Scholarship and the Pratt Engineering Scholarship. Also, there's financial aid. That's not just for freshmen, that's for everyone. So make sure you fill out your FAFSA. There's also specific scholarships for transfer students from Virginia community colleges. And the majority of scholarships for the College of Engineering are for upperclassmen because when alumni want to give back, they want to give back to their major and their department rather than just the general College of Engineering. So there's definitely more opportunity there. You'll fill out one application and that will apply you to all of the College of Engineering scholarships, all of your department scholarships. Super easy to fill out. You'll fill that out like spring of your freshman year. I don't think you can apply for that one before you're a tech student. But yes, some different scholarship opportunities.
Really quickly, just because this is a question we get a lot, computer requirements. So we generally ask for a laptop, 2-in-1 with a tablet. It's very helpful to be able to write your notes on your computer because then when you have your backpack walking around, it's not full of notebooks. You just have your one computer with all your notes in it. Um, so we get questions about what computer people should get a lot, and the biggest answer for that is they will post it online on the College of Engineering's website. They generally post it March 31st, which was yesterday, I guess. So next year, so like fall of 21 students, your requirements should be posted now. If you're not fall of 21 planning to come, do not go getting a laptop before March of your previous year, just because you might end up with a wrong laptop, and then you're going to be out of luck, and you're going to have to buy another one or complain to them until they let you keep it. I really don't know what we do in that situation.
Yeah, I have a 2-in-1 and it's incredible. It's so nice to be able to take notes with a pen. So I'd really recommend that. Super helpful. Also, there was a question about average workload. It's engineering, so it's hard. Some majors are more intense than others with workload, but it's manageable. Like Davey was saying earlier, it's not a weed out program. Your professors want you to succeed. There's a lot of work required to make you do well and to understand the material. So definitely a lot of work, more than other majors, but worth it. Someone said no Mac. I think for computer science, people have Macs, right? Is that right?
So so it says require. So oh gosh, I feel like I might get myself in trouble with this statement. No, I'll say it anyway. So it says Windows 10 required. I know of people in engineering who have Macs. Generally, you have to buy an accessory that is just like an entire notepad that you'll set beside your Mac and you can write on. Um,
Really?
but yeah, I've seen people with it. I don't. I would say go to the Office of Admissions and ask first. And cost of buying a new computer. So they'll provide them through the school, and they'll have like a pretty nice warranty with them. I don't know what computers they're requiring now because I know my computer right now is like already outdated. So I really don't know how much it costs. I again go to the College of Admissions and see what they're recommending, and then just like look that up. I'm sorry, I can't be more helpful with that. And
Yeah,
then
you can also look on the bookstore website and see the different options there. There's some nicer ones, some on the cheaper side. So yeah, there's a range.
yeah, like I didn't know the computer requirements. I just drove to campus, went to the bookstore. I'm like, I'm an engineer. Which one do I need? And they showed me, so it was super helpful. And then a question: are they going to penalize us if you can't afford a new laptop? Um, I believe they have some sort of pre-owned system at the bookstore as well that you could look into, and also there is some amount of um, financial aid for freshmen the laptop would help cover a laptop as well. It's designed to cover like auxiliary things, not just tuition. So but for penalizing, like if you absolutely didn't get one, I again don't take my word for it 'cause I am not admissions. I don't get to make decisions, but I would doubt it a lot
I think they would help you get one.
if they
Um,
penalize.
Also for the Mac
That's the most
question,
likely option for me.
sorry. For the Mac question, also sometimes with like when I was talking about MATLAB and SolidWorks, sometimes the software is a little funkier when it's a Mac. So Windows is a bit easier to download that. I forget what it's called that you have to download to then be able to download. It's just
I think to use SolidWorks, you have to download Windows inside of your Mac to use that. But again, I definitely like before I went buying a Mac, I would check with admissions, um, just to see.
okay. We're going to quickly go through the majors. There's quite a few of them, so we're not going to be able to like go in depth about everything, but we'll give a resource at the end that goes more in depth. But feel free to ask any questions. Hopefully, we can answer. Yeah.
So first, we're going to go over electrical engineering here. So we're going to start with our techie sphere type stuff. So we're going to do electrical, computer engineering, computer science real quick. Electrical engineering is, I mean, as its sounds, you're engineering with electricity. You're working with everything from as small as a microchip up to all the way to a big power plant, transformers, and getting electricity all over the place. They do a lot with robotics. A lot with electric vehicles are getting bigger now. You'll have a lot of circuits labs. It's funny. Electrical engineers, you can always tell who they are because they walk around with two backpacks because they have their backpack for their normal stuff and they have a big bulky suitcase just full of circuits. And I live with some electrical engineers, and like whenever it's circuits day, I walk into the living room and I have to tiptoe around their circuits so I don't step any of them because they're spreaders. So it's just spread out all over the living room. So that's fun. It's fun to see them struggle with wires and stuff. I don't understand that. So computer engineering goes along with computer science and computer and electrical engineering because it's kind of a mixture of the two. So computer science is like all coding, whereas electrical engineering is going to be all hardware and circuits, and computer engineering is a little bit of both. You're going to take some coding classes and you're going to take some circuits classes, and you're kind of going to be really good at making them work together well. So, like if we're designing hardware that will optimize the way the software goes into it, that's what you'll be doing. They do a lot with microchips specifically. So, like electrical engineering, you'll do a lot of electrical stuff. With computer engineering, it's specifically computery type hardware. And they do a lot with. They have some stuff with like smart fabrics, which are like this thing where like if you've seen the old Life Alert commercials, they're working on a fabric now that'll like you're wearing it. They're wearing it. Older people will wear it in their clothes, and if they fall, the fabric will call an ambulance for them if they fall. But the fabric is also smart enough to know if they just bump their hip while walking, so it can like kind of tell, and it will call for them if they need it, and it learns to do that on its own. That's one project they're working on here.
So, computer scientists study the design, implementation, performance, and usability of computer systems. The program emphasizes software, whereas other ones were more hardware or a combo of both. Computer science is definitely software. And that's the aspect of computation that makes computing the powerful and transforming technology that it is. Students acquire a strong foundation in algorithms, problem solving, and software development. A diverse set of elective courses provides experience with emerging technologies in areas such as artificial intelligence, which is really big, bioinformatics, data analytics, graphics, human computer interaction, internet programming, networking, parallel computing, and software engineering. So lots of different options within computer science to focus on different things. A computer science degree prepares students for a wide range of employment opportunities. Every engineer that I talk to in the field always talks about how important coding is, and that's not just computer scientists saying that. Materials engineers and aerospace and everyone emphasizes the importance of programming. So we've definitely implemented that into the foundations of engineering classes that I was talking about earlier. But computer science is definitely very relevant, very important, whether you major in computer science or not.
Yeah, it's that's the reason why we have a computer science minor. It's the only like full major that also offers a minor just because it's so helpful in life to know how to code. So mechanical engineering is they're kind of a jack of all trades. They work on things that move. So that could be everything from like robotics to this is a robot I really like. I don't know if any of you ever watched a Virginia Tech football game, but so we have the Corps of Cadets, right? And like when we score, they will lift the core up on this wooden plank that this robot is on, and they'll do push-ups for every point we have. Well, sometimes we'll get like 49 points, and that's like a lot of push-ups for these core kids to be doing on live TV. So we have this robot that does it for them. So that's like super fun and it's super cool to see. Additionally, they do a lot with automotive, like they're really involved with that electric muscle car thing I talked about before, which name I've already forgotten. And then they'll also do a lot with robotics and nuclear energy. We don't do nuclear engineering here, so if you're interested in that, mechanical engineering is probably your best bet. Mechanical has a ton of sub-disciplines in it also. So like if you finish your freshman year and you're like, I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet, like I've learned a lot, but I really don't want to commit yet, you can do mechanical because you have another choice to make later and you really don't narrow your field all that much at that point. We got a question, is there a minor in robotics? I do not believe there is, but robotics is a focus for, I believe I know robotics is a focus for mechanical. I think robotics may also be a focus for computer engineers. So we don't have a major, but it's a focus for two of our classes. And if you're really super interested in it, you can probably get into some of their classes, even if you're not in the major.
So the aerospace engineering curriculum includes the areas of aerodynamics, flight dynamics and controls, propulsion, and aerospace structures. The program culminates in a nationally recognized senior level sequence, including analysis and design of aircraft, spacecraft, and their related technologies. In the first picture, you can see the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 jet engine, which is in Goodwin Hall, which is our newest engineering building. If you haven't been to Tech, or if you haven't been to Goodwin Hall, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's when you walk into the atrium, this huge engine is there, and you can go up on one of those levels up there and look straight into it, which is really cool. The drone cage that I was talking about earlier is in that picture. That's a student with their drone that they would have built in the Foundations of Engineering class. So definitely cool opportunities with Aero.
Here we have ocean engineering. We really include it with aerospace because they're very, very similar. You add about two, there's about a two-class difference between the two, so it is very common to double major in aerospace and ocean. They're in the same department together because of that. And the thing really is because like water is a fluid and air is a fluid, so you really just change the density and you're done. And my roommate is an aerospace engineer, and I'm sure he'd like attack me if he heard me say that through the wall right now. But I'm just going to simplify it because I don't care that much. But that's pretty much what it is about it. Um, Ocean engineering is very big if you're into a lot of core students will do it. Navy students, the ocean engineering is big, and if you really like boats, sailing, that's also a big reason to do ocean engineering.
So, industrial and systems engineering is concerned with the design, development, improvement, implementation, and evaluation of integrated work systems comprised of people, information, and knowledge, equipment, energy, materials, and processes. Coursework encompasses operations research, manufacturing systems engineering, human factors engineering and ergonomics, and management systems engineering. The curriculum addresses not only the physical and technical aspects of systems, but also the organizational, economic, business, and human elements of systems. When I think of ISE, I think of human engineering and I think of efficiency. So if you're interested in optimization and increasing productivity, I would definitely recommend looking more into ISE. In one of the picture in the bottom left, that's the manufacturing processes lab. As an ISE, you will take that lab. Also, as a materials science and engineer or a mechie, you'll take this lab and you'll learn how to weld and you will machine things and you will like make molds. It's a very, very cool hands-on lab. That's really interesting to learn about the different manufacturing processes, but also experience them and do them yourself. So that's definitely a very cool lab in ISE.
So chemical engineering. A big question that a lot of people have about chemical engineering is what's the difference between chemistry and chemical engineering. So if I were to tell you, my best explanation is chemistry is like, all right, so if we have two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom, we get like one water molecule. So a chemical engineer will be like, all right, we're going to take like 2 bajillion hydrogen atoms and 1 bajillion oxygen atoms, and we're going to get a bajillion molecules of water. They just take what chemists know and find efficient, economical ways to blow that up to crazy numbers. They can get into a lot of different things, like they get into environmental polymers, a lot of research here. We had one guy when I was in Galileo. There's this class that is a seminar, and they'll have industry professionals from the tech come in and talk to you. So one guy told us that his whole job was he pulled the color white out of the element out of tin ore was his whole job to make white paint. That's all he did was optimize pulling the color white out of tin ore. So the biggest, if I were to say the biggest thing chemical engineers try to do is just like not blow anything up. That's like the number one part of the job.
So materials science and engineering pertains to the structure, properties, design, development, manufacture, and engineering applications of materials of all types. Students can specialize in a number of materials technology areas, including ceramics, metals, polymers, or electronic and photonic materials. You can also study green engineering or biomaterials. I'm in MSc, like I said before. I'm still trying to figure out whether I want to do polymers or ceramics. You don't have to necessarily declare which one you want to do, but it's good to have a bit more of a focus so you know what you want to do after you graduate. Like I said, I'm a green engineering minor, so some of my technical electives are for green engineering classes. I'm interested in green energy and also some biodegradable polymers. So there's opportunity with that to take classes that translate to those minors or different interests that you have. You may be wondering why there's a picture of a football player on an engineering slide. So this is Cedric Hume, who was a running back for Tech quite a few years ago. He broke his arm and he needed to play in the game. So he needed to have a cast for his broken arm, but a cast is considered a weapon, so he couldn't play with a cast. So he came to the materials department and we had to figure out a way to have something to protect his arm that was soft enough to not be considered a weapon, but strong enough to still protect his arm. So came up with this, and he was able to play, and we won the 2007 ACC championship. So we like to say engineers win football games. There's also a picture of the foundry, which is on campus, where students can go. There's classes there as well, and you can work with metals, which is super cool. How much chemistry do you need to know to do materials engineering? So there's lots of chemistry behind the structure of materials. So I would say a good amount of chemistry, but like polymers, if you want to do polymers, you have to take organic chemistry and stuff. So there's different ways in materials that chemistry can be more important than others. For like metals, it's not as necessary, but materials is a good in between chemistry and physics. I took both of those in high school. I really liked AP Chem. I don't know if you guys have taken AP Chem, but I was like, okay, I really like AP Chem. I'm gonna want to do chemical engineering, but learned that MSc is more similar to AP Chem than chemical engineering. So definitely, if you're interested in chemistry, I would look more into materials engineering. But if you hate chemistry, don't be discouraged because there's things you can do in materials that aren't as chem focused. Good question.
So civil engineering. So I feel like whenever like someone who doesn't know a lot about engineering pictures engineering, people act what they actually picture as civil engineering. So they build structures. So like bridges is like the big go-to. Buildings as well. The stuff that goes into that, you have your very basic like stresses and strains that all engineers have to know. They also like they want their building to stay up there. They got to make sure that they're using a material and shaping the building correctly so it stands. Additionally, though, there's some other things that go into that. They got to look into the environmental aspect of the structure they're building. How's it going to affect things? Like, I don't know, is that building in the way of like a geese migratory path and it's really tall and the geese are going to crash into it? And like you think that's a joke, but that's actually kind of a problem sometimes. But also geotechnical. Like if you're building a really, really big building, yeah, it's great. The concrete can hold the building up, but can the rock you're building on hold it up as well? And then finally, like you can see here, they do a lot with water quality. So like you can see in the bottom left, there's the Flint water crisis. We do some study with that here, some projects on that. And then finally, the largest research project we do is called the Smart Road here at Virginia Tech. And it's like this thing that like car companies will come and test stuff on, and it's just it's this big old treadmill for cars. And like what it'll do is like it'll like simulate like crazy conditions. So it'll dump water all over the car to see how the tires work, or they'll throw like little dummies out in front of them and see how quickly it can brake, like if it has to, and see what kind of turns it can make. So like that's a really cool project that you can actually work for. You can work for the smart roads here. You get paid to do so. And if you're like a night owl, they actually prefer night shift people there because they like to run it at night because it takes a lot of electricity, and electricity is cheaper at night. Um, so yeah, civil engineering, it seems simple, but there's actually a lot of things that go into it. What is the most competitive major to get into? As of right now, I'd say it's probably biomedical engineering, and we'll get into that. There's a reason behind that. It's not just because it's competitive. It's because it's newer, but we'll get into that in a second.
The Construction Engineering and Management undergrad program is administered by the Myers-Lawson School of Construction. Graduates possess the technical, managerial, and business knowledge to design, plan, execute, and manage construction projects, operations, and processes that are safe, efficient, cost-effective, environmentally sensitive, and socially aware. They're prepared to integrate and manage the technical, materials, financial, and human resources that support construction operation and lead project team towards common objectives with an emphasis on values-based leadership principles. Construction is a combo of civil and business. civil engineering and business. Um, they work in various organizations in the four sectors of construction, which are residential, commercial, industrial, and heavy. The roles include general contractors, construction management firms, specialty contractors, design builders, consulting engineers, architecture firms, home builders, and real estate development firms. One of the coolest things about being a construction engineer is that you get to wear a hard hat at graduation. So while all of the students in your class graduating with you have that hat where it's hard to figure out like who's who, you have your cool hard hat.
So mining engineering, this is what I do. I love it so much. I might talk for way too long about it. We'll just kind of see how it goes. I have been trying not to shamelessly plug for mining this whole time, so this is my moment. So in mining engineering, we do a little bit of everything. We get to play with any engineering problem that comes up in the removal of raw materials from the ground. So that could be, originally when you're first starting out, you just drill a bunch of drill holes out of the ground and you use some statistical analysis and some computer programs to model your rock deposit or your ore deposit if you're doing metals. Um, then after that, you will sort of we plan efficiency wise. So like, what's the most efficient way to tackle this mine? And also like you have to design a mine. So like we're like civil engineers like that. So like we have a hole in the ground and they have a building and they want their building to stay up and we want our holes to stay down. It's the same principles, just opposite directions for the stresses. Additionally, we do a lot with people management. A lot of people, like if you're a lot of mining engineers go into the industry and we're just foremen, so you just have your 6 or 7 people, and you're just like, you do this, you do this, you do this, and they do stuff all day, and you just kind of drive around and make sure they're doing their jobs, and you manage them. Finally, like in metal mines, like gold mines, we have a lot of people go working gold. There are no gold nuggets left in the ground, unfortunately. Those have mostly been found. So what we do instead is we'll have a bunch of like 50 acres, and we'll be like, all this rock is like 0.002% gold. So what you have to do is you take all of that and you put it in a big, kind of like a big concrete pot, and they dump cyanide all over it, and the cyanide will chemically bond to the gold and make the gold go liquid, and then you can kind of squeeze it out like a sponge, and it goes out through the bottom, and then you have liquid gold. And that's so there's a lot of chemistry involved as well if you want to go into processing. You can kind of pick which one of these things you want to focus on, and that's what you'll be doing the whole time. And then the final best 2 parts about it, or I'll go with 3 parts. First of all, the most efficient way to remove rock from the ground is with explosives. I said chemical engineers do not want to blow stuff up. We very much want to blow stuff up. We have an entire class dedicated to explosive design. Also, we get to play with very, very big equipment. You can see in my little camera here, this thing behind me, it's called a bucket wheel excavator. It may be, I think, I'm feeling it's one of the largest machines on Earth. That arm is about like 4 football fields long. And what that does is it just kind of tips over and digs up the ground. And finally, if you want to, you can spend about 75 to 80% of every day outside if you're a mining engineer, which is also super fun if you don't like sitting at a computer all day. So yeah, that's my spiel. Sorry if I talked for a while.
Good plug. Biological systems engineering combines bio, chem, and engineering to solve problems associated with environmental protection and the conversion of renewable resources to value-added products, such as food, pharmaceuticals, polymers, and biofuels. The curriculum includes a minimum of 19 hours of biology and chemistry and differs from other engineering programs in this focus on natural resources and biological materials. Students may focus their studies in career areas such as biomolecular engineering, environmental health engineering, food engineering, and watershed science and engineering through the selection of various electives. Example of employers of graduates include biotechnology, pharmaceutical, energy, and food companies, as well as government agencies and environmental consulting firms. Graduates are also prepared for admission to professional schools in medicine, dentistry, and veterinary medicine, and graduate schools in a variety of disciplines, including biomedical engineering.
We've got a question, where does Virginia Tech rank nationally for computer science? I didn't know off the top of my head, and I Googled it for you while Shelby was asking. Our website says 13th, so I suppose we are ranked 13th then. Funny thing with rankings, though, I don't know, it doesn't say who ranked us. Ranking is very dependent on who published the rankings. So, I mean, our website says 13th. I don't know who published us as 13th. So, I mean, you can do your own research and you'll find a bunch of different numbers depending on what publication you're looking at. So biomedical engineering. This was the one that I said was probably the most competitive major, and that's because this is new. So biomedical engineering, we have only had for about 3 years now. And what had happened was a lot of people were asking for it, and we had the minor, and the minor got super popular. Like a lot of people were doing uh, biological systems, and just with the intent to minor in biomedical so they could get a career in biomedical. So they're just like, let's just make it its whole major, and we can work it out. But since it's a baby major, they want to make sure the quality is really good before they expand to a lot of students. So I think right now each class, the max class is 30 students, and right now the biggest class is 30 students. And the reason they're limiting it to 30 is because they have very few professors, but the professors they have are very good, and they're having them write the curriculum right now so they can ensure it's like high quality. So we'll be a competitive program whenever we're done with our baby major status. Um, by the time, so currently the rule is like in addition down in the 3.0, you also have to write an essay saying why you want to do it because they want to make sure all the students in it are super passionate so they can be like really good students and like also ensure a high quality program. By the time you guys are involved with it, I think it will just be wide open and you can apply and get in. So you don't really need to worry about that. But that's just a little bit of, I guess, if you decide to do this major, you now know a little trivia about your major. They do everything from prosthetics to working on um, like bio nanomedicine, a lot of ergonomics stuff. Um, they would get, if they were around at the time, they would have gotten very involved with that Cedric Humes cast. I'm sure that a lot of people did with a lot of people in the minor were involved with it at the time. So they just do, engineering, also biology. It's a very good pre-med track if you are looking at med school. And if you have any more questions about any of these things, you can follow this QR code.
There's a question real quick. Is the College of Engineering a part of Virginia Tech or is it separate? So like this presentation, and we are from the College of Engineering at Virginia Tech. So it's a specific school in Virginia Tech. There's different colleges. There's like College of Liberal Arts, College of Science, College of Business. So we're the College of Engineering within Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we are definitely a part of the Virginia Tech. We are, in my opinion, the best part of Virginia Tech. We're going to argue that right now. So we like to end off with this. Why did I come to the College of Engineering at Virginia Tech? A lot of people have really fun, cool answers for this. I don't. And like I said, I'm from an hour down the road. I've been a Hokie my whole life. I went on like 4 field trips here for school growing up. I went to like, I'd been to like 20 football games before I came here as a student. It was the only school I applied to. I always knew I was coming here. So yeah, that's my story is not fun.
Yeah, my story is a bit different than his. I applied to 10 schools, which was a lot. During the college application process, I knew that I wanted to go to an engineering school. So some things that made tech stand out compared to the other engineering schools or the general engineering program freshman year, I really liked that you went in not necessarily having to decide and having that opportunity to talk to upperclassmen and professors and advisors and take classes and get involved in clubs and then help determine what you want to do. I actually came in wanting to do MSc and stuck with MSc, but I know a lot of people who change their mind, which is fine. There are 14 different majors that we just told you about, so there's lots of different opportunities. If you end up not thinking you would like the one you wanted to do, it's not like there's only 2 other majors, so you don't really have a choice. There's so many choices, so you can find whatever you want to do there. I also knew that Hokies hire Hokies going into this, so the alumni network is super awesome. So super excited to use that as I continue my college education and after graduation. Also, just tech in general, the community here is incredible. And I thought it was really unique to find a school that had such a great engineering program, but also had incredible sports and just so much fun. The campus is beautiful here. Davey's talking about how we're #1 in food. So, food here is delicious. The people are super nice. It's just an incredible place. And if you haven't toured, I would definitely recommend visiting. It's definitely a different experience being here and seeing people. If you can get here while students are still here, that's a great way to see actually what school will look like. Everyone's super helpful. Everyone will hold the door for you, which is something really small, but I definitely noticed when I toured compared to some of the other schools I was touring that didn't seem as collaborative or a bit more cutthroat. But really everyone loves it here. Everyone's happy. So yes, I'm very happy with my decision, even though I had lots of different schools that I was applying to, and I know it's stressful, but it will all work out. Whether you come to Virginia Tech, which I really hope you do, but you'll be wherever you belong, which is great.
The question we have here: any disadvantages for switching majors? Um, Not really, I suppose. Really, just it's going to take you longer to graduate. It's the only real disadvantage. You're going to have to get all the classes for this other major, so that's really the only thing I can think of. If I mean, this is just the way I look at things. I mean, these are the cons. It's going to take you longer. Pros, you learn a bunch of stuff that's not necessarily important to what you're going to do, but you learn stuff. So like that's fun. I like learning random useless skills. It's my favorite thing to do. So nothing really besides adding time, and then I guess you'd have to pay for a few more years of school, which is not so fun. But beyond that, nothing. And then, is it easy to find an internship or co-op with any of the majors at VT, or just for engineering? I would imagine it wouldn't be super hard for most of the majors because, like I said, we have a huge alumni network. But again, I can't say I know. I really don't know how it would be because um, I just couldn't people in business who have gotten internships. I have friends in business that have, but um, that's that's all I can tell you about that one.
It said okay, so I don't know if that answered it exactly. How
It
I
didn't
read
at
it, which is
all.
totally fine. But for engineering, I read like, is it hard to find internships or easy for any specific majors within engineering?
Oh, I thought
That
they
I
meant
can
like business as opposed to engineering. I read it incorrectly then. My
I
bad.
don't know. Anyway, it isn't. I wouldn't consider it easy to find an internship or co-op. It definitely takes a lot of work and networking and going to these career fairs. It's not impossible at all, and lots of people have internships, but it's not like I show up, I'll get one. So I definitely recommend networking now, figuring out who you know that works at companies that you could be interested in to help get internships. But things like Expo, Cameo, programs like Galipatia and mentoring to help you prepare for those are super important. Make a LinkedIn if you haven't made a LinkedIn. Just different networking things that you can work on to get that internship. But I wouldn't say it's easy, and I wouldn't say it's easy for any specific majors, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd say it's the same as how I feel about doing well in classes. It's definitely doable if you're willing to put enough work in. It's if you're enough, there's no reason why you like really shouldn't be able to get one unless something happens, like I don't know, a global pandemic. Uh, but beyond like stuff like that, it's if you put work in, I feel like you should be able to find one. There's definitely lots of resources. Next question: how does the college town feel here? It's very rural. Blacksburg is in Southwest Virginia. It's funny because you'll be like, oh, we must be like another hour or two from Blacksburg because there are fields of cattle on both sides of the road right now. Then you'll just drive into town and you'll be like, oh, well, it just shoots up right in front of you. But it's fun. I like that because it's like it's so an old announcer at Virginia Tech, Bill Roth. He used to announce for us a couple years ago. Now he's the head of our program for sportscasting. Said that he loves Blacksburg because you'll go down a inner 81 and you're about 6 hours in the woods, and then you just come out into this town where everyone's on the beach and everyone's to each other. But it's a good college town. I can't remember who I saw ranking the other day. We were ranked 17th best college town in the country. So
Yeah, definitely college town
um,
vibes. There's cows in my neighborhood when I go on walks. I love it. But yeah, definitely not urban. That's something I'm not the biggest city fan, so it's definitely something I wanted. But I would also caution you away from being like, oh, it's not in a city. There's nothing to do. There's so many different things you can do. There's so many hikes. That's definitely something lots of people in Blacksburg do. It's just absolutely gorgeous here. I'll take the next question. How many of your first year classes are general engineering versus classes for your intended major? So most of the classes that you'll take for your major are major specific. So like for MSc classes that start with MSc, usually you can only take once you declare that major. There's a couple exceptions. There's some like freshman classes you can take. I took like a materials in today's world class or something. But the majority of classes for your major you can only take once you declare. But there's math classes, there's like engineering, science, and mechanics classes that you can take that you'll have to take for your major, but you can take them before you declare your major. So say you came in with calc 1 and 2 credits, you can take calc 3 and linear algebra. I came in with calc, chem, and physics, so I was like, what do I do? Like, but I had plenty of classes to take. You can get some of those pathways credits out of the way. And if you're interested in any minors, you can take some classes for the minors as well. But I would definitely recommend looking up check sheets if you haven't seen check sheets before. I'm pretty sure they're on that website we had the QR for. But if you search VT check sheets, you'll be able to see the schedules for all the classes for each of the majors. So that'll help determine also if those classes sound interesting to you or not. And you can figure out which classes you can bump up to freshman year if you have space in your schedule, but you can't take ones that are restricted to majors.
Let's see, next one. The application process of getting an internship or co-op. They differ from company to company. It could be as simple as you walk up to a booth at a career fair and that you talk to them for a little bit. They're like, hey, we're doing interviews tomorrow. Why don't you come by? Or it could be, go apply online, in which case they'll be submit a resume and then ask a bunch of little questions. So it's really going to be different everywhere you apply. But generally, it's once you just have to find an application somewhere online or find someone to talk to. Yeah, I don't know of any way to be more specific than that, just because it differs so much.
Yeah, and usually after application, there's like an interview round or rounds, and it kind of goes from there. But yeah, it's different for each. Will they teach the inner workings of programs in engineering, such as CAD programming?
Yeah. Yes. Generally, depending if whatever you use in your major, you'll learn. Like, I can't do. So you'll learn a coding language called MATLAB your freshman year, and then you'll learn like SolidWorks or maybe some AutoCAD add-on. It depends on what your foundations professor decides to teach you. But like I know if you're in civil, you do a lot of AutoCAD, and they learn it very well. And I do. We have special AutoCAD add-ons for mapping mines, so I know how to use those really well. But like half the features of AutoCAD, I don't really know much about. So you'll get it a lot in your what you need in your curriculum. But I believe there are classes. I think they're in the college in the civil department that are just AutoCAD lab, the class, and you just learn how to use AutoCAD. If you're interested, I feel like you could just go into that one without being in the major because it doesn't seem super prerequisite. Are there any engineering clubs at Virginia Tech that we suggest being involved with during the freshman year? Um, Let me think. So this is I really don't have a good answer for this because I've always been very involved with mining, and I'm in like 7 clubs in the mining department. So like I could tell you a bunch of really cool clubs mining has, but for engineering, I really I don't know any off the top of my head. Shelby, do you know any?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I was a part of the Student Engineers Council freshman committee. So the Student Engineers Council kind of handles the funding for lots of different design teams and engineering organizations. So as part of that freshman committee, there were 8 of us that represented the entire freshman engineering class, um, which was super cool. But we planned a variety of different events. So we planned like social, professional, academic events to help our peers in their college experience, either to get to know people better or to get we also did some community service events. So that's Student Engineers Council Freshman Committee. That's what I did. Loved it. So much fun. Um, I would also recommend getting involved in design teams if you're interested in those and think you would want to do those. As a freshman, if you can get involved, that's great experience and helping determine which major you want to pursue and meeting upperclassmen. So I would definitely recommend trying to get involved your freshman year. There's some, I forget which design teams, there's some that are like specifically for freshmen. There's one that's like just freshmen on a design team.
Oh. I know design teams love freshmen because like Baja, for example, like they will give you like it's not busy work, but it's just not the super fun work that the upperclassmen do. And what they do is like any freshman can do it, but if you want to get like on the team, like to do the fun stuff, like drive the thing, you have to put in a certain amount of hours as a freshman, just like welding stuff for them and doing less fun stuff. So design teams love freshmen. Um, how important do I think College of Engineering rankings really are to employers? Here's my opinion on that is once um, once I feel like the ranking is great to get them on campus. And after that point, I feel like it's more up to you. I'm of the opinion that a good interview, is worth much more than like just being from a prestigious school. And I think that when it comes to getting jobs, our our big network is very much helpful, much helpful. Yes, English is hard. Much more helpful than having a fantastic ranking would be. Although we do have really good rankings, I just don't think it's generally the most important thing in the world.
Yeah, I think the specific number doesn't have that much of a weight, like 12th versus 11th. But Virginia Tech has a very strong College of Engineering program, and recruiters recognize that. So I think getting into the nitty gritty, I don't think they'll do that as much. But Tech is definitely known for its engineering program, so I think that's a positive, and not if we're in the teens instead of the top 10. I don't think that'll really affect, like he was saying about interviews. Good.
Yeah, I don't think it's realistic for like if you blow them out of the water in your interview for them to be like, well, we like this person much more, but the person who couldn't hold a conversation went to MIT. Like I just don't think that's realistic. Of course, I don't do recruiting, so But let's see. What do I think? What do we think is the coolest, funniest design team slash club? I will hit you with. All right, so I'll do a club. Okay, I'm gonna do a club and a design team. And I'm sorry, but both of them are in mining. I'm sorry, but you set yourself up for this one. So the design team is the Mars Ice Challenge, and NASA put out this challenge, and basically, if you remember, a few years ago they found out there was ice on Mars. There's a layer of it a certain distance below the surface, and what our team does is they build a lightweight, low-power drill that NASA will hopefully one day send to Mars. It's going to drill through the first few layers of rock and get down to that ice layer. And then it's going to heat up the ice layer so it melts and then suck it to the surface for the purpose of terraforming a colony, hopefully at some point. We work on that. I know we made it past the first round, our team did. So they're going down to, I believe, Cape Canaveral at some point. They're going to get $10,000 budget to build a life-size model of it. So that's a cool design team. And then our fun club is in mining. It's called the Mucking Team. And if you've ever heard of the lumberjack games, it's that for mining. We do old-fashioned mine stuff competitively. It's like an old tradition. And they oh yeah, Shelby include a link to Gobbler Connect, which has all our clubs on it if you want to look through them. But our mucking team is basically we do old fashioned mining techniques competitively. Like it's just an old tradition in mining. Like we just shovel rock into a cart really fast and see who can do it the fastest. We build a railroad track by hand, take it apart and put it together. A lot of people think we still use pickaxes in mining. We don't, but like for mucking, we do just for fun. Like because it's the way things used to be. It's just like the lumberjack games for us. Shelby, you can get some of the clubs you think are fun now. I've plugged mining enough for one day, maybe, unless I get another good question.
I was just gonna say, I linked the Gobbler Connect website below. That's a super fantastic resource to look into different clubs that Tech has in engineering or not in engineering. You can search different keywords to find different organizations. There's I don't know how many there are, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. It says 976. So there's lots of different clubs you can be involved in, and I would definitely recommend getting involved. Don't be stressed about coming to school and not knowing what you want to do, because there's this huge thing at the beginning of the semester called Gobbler Fest where all these clubs will have booths and you'll go walk around on the drill field, hopefully, if COVID isn't a thing, and you'll be able to get free t-shirts and join clubs. So super fun. I don't know. I think lots of them are really cool. So I think it's hard to pick the coolest or funnest. But yeah, I would look on Galileo Connect. What percentage of engineering students have jobs before they graduate? There was a
So
statistic
again,
on that.
our slide for that said 74, but I think it's a little higher than that. So 74 have jobs, and 13% plan to go on to more education, and that leaves about 13% without either. But that's based off of a survey that they just emailed to us, and I'm not sure how many of those people who of that last 13%, which doesn't fit in either category. I feel like it's a good portion of them that it's a good portion of them that didn't fill out the survey. And I can speak like if getting a job, if a high job percentage is super important to you, I know that there's a couple majors, at least two I know of, mining and construction engineering, both have 100% job placement. So it's definitely very high.
Do you only take gen ed classes freshman and sophomore year, or can you take more specific classes as well? So that I kind of touched on that earlier. So there's certain classes in your major that you can't take until you declare that major. So there's some limitations on that. But for example, like there's a class that I think most engineers have take called statics, and that you don't need to have declared a major, a specific engineering major to take. But usually, if you look at the check sheet, you're supposed to take that your sophomore year. But like if you have space before, you can pull that up. So I took statics my freshman year. Um, so you're able to take like I wouldn't I don't know if they're more specific because it can't necessarily be in your major, but you can take those classes that you would take later sooner. You can also take classes for minors that don't have those major restrictions. I wouldn't recommend taking like 3,000 level classes your freshman year. Like, slow down there, buddy. Like, you have time. You'll be good. But yes, so you don't have to like just take gen eds. There's other opportunity to take classes you're interested in, but you have to fill that core curriculum of like the two calcs, Chem 1, Physics 1, and the Foundations of Engineering classes and English before you can declare your major, before you can take those classes. So hopefully that answers that. Sophomore year, definitely. You can definitely take like more in your major classes. You may not have as much space in your schedule to take those technical electives that get more into like the specific things you want to pursue. That those classes may be more like, okay, this is for your major. So it's like major specific, but not concentration specific. But definitely in junior and senior year, you take more of those.
And then last question here, unless anyone has any other ones. Do people do co-ops freshman year, or is it better to do it sophomore year and so on? For a co-op, I feel like might recommend waiting until sophomore year to do it. For a couple reasons. One, I feel like it would just be kind of difficult to find one and get everything set up. Well, actually, um, I also I don't think you could actually, because you have to take a class the semester before you go on co-op. So I don't think you'd be able to do that within your freshman year because you wouldn't have signed up for it in your first semester of freshman year, and by the second semester you you wouldn't be able to yet, and you'd be doing a sophomore year. Although I do really recommend doing one sophomore year, and then also for co-oping, also a reason not living on campus is an experience, and honestly, I miss it sometimes. And I would really recommend making sure you get both semesters of living on campus because that's when you're going to meet the most people, especially people who aren't in your majors and people who aren't in engineering. Living on campus, you generally only do it your freshman year, and it's fun time. It's an experience, and I wouldn't recommend missing out on any more of that than you had to. Um, all right, and last question: are these shirts specific to our major? This shirt does say mining, so I have one that says Dean's team and one that
Mine
says
says,
mining ambassador. Yeah,
mine
she's
says
the Dean.
DMC.
I have one that says Dean's team and one that says mining ambassador because that's one of the clubs I'm in. Basically, I just go to events and like this one, except for freshmen who are already here looking at majors, and I just talk about mining and tell them why it's cool, which is also why I talk so long about it because I do talk about mining for very long amounts of times also in my spare time. So this is just says mining ambassador. But yes, I'm sorry, I keep rambling. Gosh.
You're all good. It's very enjoyable. Um, awesome. Well, if no one has any more questions. Thank you so much for coming.
Um,
We hope you learned a lot and enjoyed it and had fun. We had a lot of fun. Have a great night, y'all.
well,
Bye.